Welcome back to the studio, guys. It's really just a corner in my basement that has a whole bunch of pillows around because I read online that helps sound quality. So let's get started. Today I want to talk a little bit about the stuff I've been thinking about, and here's the challenge with that right away is this morning when I woke up, I thought if I was going to keep doing this, then maybe I should make it a little bit more lighthearted, but that wouldn't be being honest and true to myself. A lot of my thoughts have a little bit more deeper meaning, or I guess there's stuff that frustrate me in the world that I want to get out and see if I can come up with some solutions or turn it into something positive rather than just complaining. One of which being why we learn the things that we do in the American school system. So this is a question that teachers get asked all the time. Kids say, "Why are we learning this? Why do I need to do this? I'm never gonna use this in my future life." So here's the problem. Here's the pros and cons to that idea. The American school system, their idea is to make well-rounded students that by the time that they're 17, 18, they can decide what they want to do with their lives, which comes with pros and cons. One, it gives us extra time to think about what we want to do, figure out what we're interested in, because in European systems, basically you get till when you're 12, and then from there you're set on a certain path of trajectory on where you're going to end up in life, and that's way too early. So for us, we wait till we're 18, but that also means that we're waiting too long. Some kids know what they want to do immediately, and they think that the classes that they're taking, the stuff that they're learning, is useless because they won't use it in life. And as much as some of that is true, a lot of it is negative thinking. They're just complaining about having an education, which is fucking absurd because a lot of people don't have educations. But things we learn aren't necessarily about the actual details, but they're about the life lessons, the things that we can learn from it. For example, in math, factoring is like pulling apart a quadratic. That's making one thing into two different things so it's easier to solve. And that can be applied to your life. I know that writing down a whole bunch of numbers, even though you think you're going to be fucking like writer, doesn't do anything for you. You think that math doesn't apply, but it should, because breaking down something small, something big into things small, and then finding a solution from there is a life lesson. You can apply those things to your future. And so every time that you think, why am I learning this? Why are we doing this? When am I going to use it? Figure out what the broad concept of that is. Another example could be in history, which I think is so great. We need to learn history as American citizens because if you don't learn history, you're doomed to repeat it. So when we sit in history class and learn about wars and failures and successes and creations and all the other shit that we talk about, it's really just talking to us about how we can do the same things in our lives and how we can avoid those wars and horrible shit. But still, people have some trouble with that. They still think, why am I learning this? And the difficult part about that question is a lot of teachers don't like it. A lot of teachers find it offensive, and like you're questioning them, which you should be doing. You're a student. You should be questioning the world around you. But in order to say that thing, it kind of breaks down a student barrier with their teacher. And these are set up a lot. The idea that teachers can't really share their personal lives or their views with students is fucking ridiculous. I think that's so ignorant and a terrible idea. I think that Teachers are there to teach. Tell us what you think so that we can decide if we agree, if we like what you think, or if we disagree. Say something to us so we can interact with that information. And by hiding personal details, it's just making it more difficult for students to connect with their teachers. Like, if somebody's just standing in front of you that you know nothing about talking, you're not going to pay attention. But if you know that, if you know that they relate to you in some way, they have anxiety too. They're trying to get on a workout plan but can't do it. They're trying to eat healthy, and so they're meal prepping. Just like silly personal stuff that teachers don't share with their students because it's against the rules makes it difficult for students to pay attention, because when you're with your friends, you know a lot about your friends, and so it's easier to talk to your friends. It's easier to pay attention to your friends than it is to pay attention to somebody that you don't know on a deeper level. So what I think students should be encouraged to do is share their lives with their teachers. Because as soon as you share your life with your teacher, they might share something with you. Tell them your problems, explain to them, what's going on in your life, the dumb shit that, the fight that you and your boyfriend got in, the problems that you're having at your house, anything. Tell them anything about yourself, and they'll help you, and then you can ask them a question in return. So you tell them about drama or something that you need advice on, or college, and they give you some advice, and then you say something like, how did you deal with this when you were younger? For example, recruiting. Let's do that because that's related to my life. I go and talk to a teacher, and I say, hey, Mr. Whatever, I know you played sports in college. I'm looking to get recruited, and I don't really know the process a whole lot. Can you help explain some of it to me? He gives me some advice, and then I say, what was it like for you when you did it? And don't do this on a basic level. So what I'm saying is gradually build up. Don't tell them something absurd, and don't ask them something absurd right away. You got to build your relationship with them. And this is the same for parent-kid relationships. Kids should be encouraged to tell their parents everything so that parents will give them advice. That's the whole reason parents are fucking around. You make a kid so that you can teach your kid what you learned, and they can do a better job. They can do more things. They know the lessons that you learned so that they can learn new lessons. They don't make the same mistakes you do. So if you're having trouble with your parents, start being honest with them. Be honest with them inside and out, just like this podcast says. Tell them things, and then they'll be more likely to be more lenient with you. And tell this to your little siblings or whatever. Tell your parents stuff so that you can do the things you want to do. So, for example, I know people that they go out and they drink, and then they tell their parents, they say, oh, I'm going out to drink, or last night I went out and I drank. And now parents are more likely to trust you because you've told them the first time. Now they think, oh, they're going to tell me important stuff, they're going to tell me when they do something wrong, and I don't have to worry about it. So your parents will get off your ass if you start being honest with them. And this is something that I do consistently. I tell my mom everything so that she doesn't feel like she has to worry about me going and doing something reckless or dumb, or well, the cops will get involved, or I won't be doing my schoolwork. I'll tell her that stuff so she never thinks I have to go out and find that for myself. She doesn't have to go out and look at my texts and all that shit because I'm being honest with her. And I can do this with simple things too. It doesn't necessarily have to be with something a little bit more dangerous. It doesn't have to be about drinking or smoking. It can be about like the struggle that you're having with scheduling, because that's something that I've been doing a little bit. I've been trying to schedule my life a little bit more, like having routines in the morning. And what I did is I had timers on my phone, so every 10 minutes or whatever, the timer would go off, and that meant that I had to move on to the next thing of my morning, whether that be showering and then changing and then getting ready and then eating, getting ready for school, whatever it may be. I would have 10-second timers, but I felt so restricted. I felt like if I messed up the schedule, things wouldn't go well for me, that I was doing a bad thing. And so I talked to my mom about this. I said, hey, what do you think? And she's like, she says to me, if something's not broken, don't try to fix it. And that's so true. Like, my morning routine was okay to begin with. I got to school on time every day. I did everything that I needed to do. There was no reason for me to add this extra routine to it. And so it was helpful to talk to her. And the lesson that I learned from that is that scheduling can be a blessing and a curse. You can schedule your life out, and you can feel prepared, and you can even get stuff done that you wouldn't have because you scheduled it. But now, with that scheduling, you're also restricting yourself. You can't feel like you can change the plans. You can't say you're going to do homework, schedule a time that you're going to do homework, and then something comes up and you don't do it and then end up feeling bad about yourself. Speaking of blessing and curses, I want to talk a little bit about my faith and kind of where I'm at with religion right now. The problem with the church, here's what I'm kind of dealing with, here's what I'm thinking out loud, is that how can the God that I believe in be so good and so powerful that shitty things happen? Hurricanes, fucking like anything, tragedies, everything that goes wrong. Why would God do that? That doesn't make sense. So I think, or what I'm starting to think, is that there is an all good God. He's up there and he wants everything to be good, but life isn't perfect. Whether he likes it or not, he doesn't have control over everything. So he can't control every step of your life, but he can put things in front of you that will make your life better. And even when you think he's putting something in front of you that's negative, everything in life is either a good experience or a lesson. There's no like, it was a good experience, bad experience. It was either a good experience or a lesson. And you can take this with you in relationships, you can take this with you in school, wherever. Like, you get a bad grade on a test. Some people would say that was a bad experience, but really, it was just teaching you maybe you need to study more for the test, or review that more when you go into finals so that you don't make the same mistakes. Stuff like that. Or with relationships. When me and my girlfriend broke up, it sucked, but it was also so good. Like, relationships are equally good as they are bad. You are happy, and then things don't go well, and you fight, and then you break up. But all those happy moments were worth it, and that breakup was worth it too. That quote-unquote bad experience was just teaching you what you need in your next relationship. If you guys fought about not spending enough quality time together, then in your next relationship, you need to make sure going in that won't be a problem. You learn something about what you need in a partner. And so I think that's the most important part, is be honest with yourself about what happened. Tell yourself that went shitty, but and you can be mad about it. You can be sad. Let that fucking anger out. Like, be sad for a little bit. Don't try to hide it or anything like that. Just be sad. Like, sit in your room and cry. But don't let that be the experience. Don't let the experience be that. Let it be, you cried so that you could learn. Don't cry and then give up. Cry and learn something. Things like this can apply to the stuff that you appreciate too. Like, a lot of people are upset over silly things. You think you had a bad experience when you really didn't. You didn't have a bad experience. Your reality is just different than the true reality. And let me explain a little bit further. So, we get things and we don't appreciate them enough. Simple things, having running water, having an education, that I hear people complain about that all the time, and it pisses me the fuck off. Like, don't tell me you hate school. Don't tell me that ever. You can say, like, I didn't have a good day at school today or whatever, but don't tell me you hate school, because it is a privilege to get an education. And even if you hate being there, you're learning, and that is good for you. And people in the world don't get that. People have to sacrifice things so that they get that. And you know who you are. Getting an education freely, going to public school, is like an amazing opportunity. You can't say that that isn't good. So going along with that, getting back to my original point, we need to count our blessings. I say this all the time, is count your blessings. So every time that you think you're having a shitty day, that's just your perception of reality. When other people, your shitty day is getting a bad grade on a math test, your parent yelled at you, work went shitty, like, I don't know, like things that make a bad day. Your bad day compared to the reality of some people's bad day, to reality of Earth, like people as a total, other people, is so minuscule. Complaining about getting a bad grade on a math test, breaking your iPhone. Here's a good example. Breaking your iPhone. People say I had a shitty day because I broke the screen on my iPhone. There are people in the world that don't have iPhones, don't have phones, don't have any fucking technology. So they kept breaking something, and it still works. Like, if you broke your screen, your iPhone still works. Stop fucking complaining about it. You still have an iPhone. Count that blessing. Say, oh, well, it's broken, but it's better than not having it. It's better than the reality that other people suffer. So just because your reality is a certain way doesn't mean that your experience has to be the same thing. Make your experience about true reality rather than your reality. Does that make sense, the difference? Because your reality is things that you get, other people don't get. Things that you take for granted is just your reality. Having a bed to sleep in, that's just your reality. You've always had one. You can always know that for the rest of your life, you'll have a place in your parents' house, and there will be a bed to sleep on. But if you take that for granted, you're robbing yourself of a good experience, because that's your reality. Your reality is having a bed to sleep on, but other people's realities is not having it. The real reality, the true reality of the world is that a lot of people don't have beds to sleep on. A lot of people don't have families to go back to and like say, hey, can I like move in with you 2 weeks while I put my life together? That's not a reality for some people. So, and this is a hard thing. This is a very difficult thing to do. It takes a lot of time, and even I still do it. Try your best, and even if you forget or you don't do it, just keep working at it. Every time that you have a bad experience or you think you have a bad experience, ask yourself, is this my reality that's affecting my experience, or true reality that's affecting my experience? And this can kind of be applied or a little bit into your emotions. So something that I deal with every day is anxiety. I get like holes in my stomach, and I think that like bad things are gonna happen, or I like can't breathe for some reason, and that's just something that I deal with. And oh, this makes me so angry. You guys have no idea when people say it's gonna be okay. I deal with anxiety and depression every fucking day. And if somebody says it's going to be okay, it literally sets me off. Because one, it's 100% true, but fuck you for saying it. Because it shouldn't be, you should never say to somebody, it's going to be okay. Say to somebody, I'll help you make it okay. You can make it okay. Don't say it will, because it won't. If you just say that, if you just say it's going to be okay, your life is not going to change. But if you say, I'm going to make it okay, I'm going to get better, then that's when you'll actually be okay. And that's when that saying it's going to be okay actually holds the weight that it should. Does that make sense? Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that when you have a right to complain, here's when you have a right to complain. It's when you've tried again, and it didn't go well for you. And I don't mean, oh, I tried. I mean, you fucking worked your ass off to change your experience. You legitimately tried to be less anxious. You legitimately tried to be less depressed. You legitimately tried to get on a better diet, or exercise, or get your homework done on time, anything, or like do well in work, whatever it is. As soon as you say, I tried and I worked my ass off, I learned my lesson from that first time I tried. I learned what I needed to fix, and then went at it again. And you say, I tried after learning my lesson and worked my ass off to get better and to do what I needed to do. And I learned another lesson. And then I tried a third time. And I worked my ass off even harder that third time because I really wanted it that third time. And you see absolutely no difference. I don't mean... Here's when you can complain. When you see absolutely no difference, like zero. Your life has not changed one minuscule amount. And I guarantee you, if you try again, your life will get better. And as soon as it gets better, even by the smallest fucking amount, even if it's like one less panic attack in a day, that is progress, and you're at a new starting spot. You're at square one again, and you cannot complain because you're at square one again. You have to try again to change your experience, and your square one has complained. Your square one has changed. So it's a full reset. As soon as your life gets better, that should be the experience you want. You should never go back. So have what you have. Take that square one. Say, I got one less panic attack this week than I did last week. That means you now have 3 more opportunities to try before you can say, like, fuck this, and like complain about not doing well at work, not doing well at school, whatever it may be. That's when I will listen to you. I'll listen to you for fucking hours if you can tell me honestly that you tried again to fix your realities, and I will listen to you complain and bicker and bitch about your life as long as you can say that. And I know that sounds negative. The way that I put that, the way that I phrased it, the way that I said it out loud, saying like, you can complain, that sounds bad. But the intensity that I had before, it wasn't me trying to be a negative person and put you down for like not trying. It's just me trying to explain why I think it's frustrating for somebody to say a specific thing. And when I say complain, there's a difference between letting out your emotions and complaining. Letting out your emotions is telling somebody how you feel. But complaining is letting out your emotions and then telling that person that it's so horrible, that it's not fair. That's when it's complaining. When you have a negative attitude towards your experience. And that's something that I just think people should change. I think that people should let out their emotions and then stop giving a fuck about it, and don't complain. Just live your life more. Complaining is not going to do anything. Go at it another try. Go on the grind and try to fix something. You know what I mean? Don't say, I failed, why is this happening to me? All this it's not fair shit. It isn't fair. You're so ahead of somebody else. Unless you're having the worst experience on earth. And I don't mean that metaphorically. You know how people say oh, I'm having the worst day ever? They're not. Fuck you. You're not having the worst day ever. I mean, if you are the last person on earth, if there were a list of people that have the worst lives ever, unless you are the very last person on that list, then you cannot complain. You need to pick yourself up, be positive, say, all right, I fucked up, but I'm going to make it better, and I'm going to do it again, and I'm going to try again. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. You know what I mean? And so that kind of plays into failure, like what I'm talking about, how you got to try again. And I don't want to be that corny person that says failure is good for you, because everybody fucking says that. That's an Instagram post all the time, or whatever. And people are like, you got to fail to succeed. It's tacky and it's corny, and when people say it, it's kind of annoying. But the actual idea, not the words behind it, but the idea that making a mistake, failing at whatever you did, will then make you a better person, it's true. So when we use this, what is it? In adventure, we use a phrase, and it's called always fail up. So if you're going to fail, let's make an analogy on the stairs. You're climbing the stairs of your life. You're trying to push towards a better life, a better life, a better life. If you fail, if you misstep, and you hit the ground, get back up, and learn that you need to pay more attention to where your feet are going. Learn a lesson. Learn, maybe I shouldn't try to jump 4 stairs at a time. Maybe I shouldn't be wearing slippery socks and expect me to get traction because I'm going to slip. That's more on the stairs analogy, but you get what I'm saying. You have to be positive about whatever happened. Okay, so I just went back and I listened to whatever you guys listened 5 minutes ago. And first, I want to apologize if there's scratching in the background. I'm using my Beats headphones to record this, and my hoodie ties kept knocking into it, and so I think that's what the scratching was, which hopefully I'm fixing because I'm holding the wire away from them now. But I realized when I was listening back on it that I said you have to. That's an improper way to put it. Cross that off the record. You don't have to do anything. What I say shouldn't dictate your life. For me, this podcast is literally just letting out what I'm thinking. You don't have to take it to heart. You don't have to take it to heart. You can just say, fuck you, I agree with all of what you say, telling me that I have to do something. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, and you can disagree with me all you want. This is just my point of view. This is just how I perceive the world where I'm sitting. And that's why I named this Honesty Inside and Out. Because it's what I perceive. It's my inside honesty, and then I'm letting that out, and that honesty is not truth. It's not life truth, what I'm saying. It's truth of what I'm thinking, but it's not life truth. I could be wrong about a lot of things. I'm just putting my perspective out there in case somebody that's listening to this doesn't see it the same way that I do, and maybe they ask me. Maybe they say, yo, like, that doesn't make sense to me, here's why. You're wrong because this, and this. That I love. I love that. I think that people should do that more often. This is where there's so much to the title, the honesty out. That's other people out there, and they're bringing it inside to me. They're saying honest things. They're saying, here's what I think. They're not yelling. They're not saying negative things. They're just saying, here's what I think. This is why I think it. That's a way better way to communicate than anything else. Communicate like that in your life. If you want to have better relationships, have better communication, whatever it may be, say things like, this is what I think, this is what I feel, this is my experience, here's why, what do you think about that? Because nobody is going to get anywhere if you just say, like, you're wrong, fuck you. Because then the other side's just going to be like, you're more wrong, fuck you too. That's not right. Say why you think they're wrong. Say what they messed up on, what fact they missed, and then have a genuine conversation between those two people. So I'm leading this into politics, I think, because I've been thinking about this a lot, is Democrats are liberals. Their arguments are always based on emotion. And as much as emotion plays into real life, as much as emotion is so important, I think emotions, it's a great part about humanity. But the way that society works is that you can't win an argument on emotion. You can't win because that's not solid ground. You have to have solid facts, not emotions. And so many of democratic ideals are built on emotions. And that's why liberals lose so fucking much. Like, that's why liberals haven't taken over the world, is because even though they have good ideas, they can't argue it because it's based on emotions. And that's where Republicans, conservatives win, because the stuff that they say, it can seem correct, but it's lost the emotion. Like, a lot of people, for example, here's one, and we'll get into it, the controversy, abortion. Okay, a lot of people, on the right side of things, they say, don't get an abortion, it's killing life. They don't understand, or they're not adding in. They don't have the empathetic capacity to understand that maybe that's a rape baby. Maybe somebody got raped, and now they have a baby, a reminder every day of that experience. Or maybe it's a baby that will have a shit life. You cannot provide for that baby. Having that baby in the world, having a kid, is more of a burden and more negative energy than it is positive. And Republicans don't empathize. They don't have empathy for that. Does that make sense? And the same way for immigrants. Democrats think oh, they're just people. They're just trying to get a better life. They're just coming into our country to start small businesses and build the economy or whatever. They're following the American dream. But conservatives, because they have facts and figures about this is how much cocaine gets smuggled into America every day. This is how many illegal immigrants get past across the border. And because they have those statistics, oh my Jesus, that was the worst thing ever. Because they have those stats, they can now win the argument. They can now say, yours is built on how you feel. Yours is built on what you think people in this country are doing. And even if that is true reality, even if your perception, what you think, even if Democrats, what they think is most Mexicans that are coming into the country are just trying to find a better life, you can't prove that in any way. Like, you can't say, oh, 85% of the Mexicans that come into our country are just looking for a better life. You don't know that. But you can say how many people have crossed the border illegally. You can say how often drugs get smuggled in, how often an illegal immigrant gets in a fight, but nobody keeps track of how often an illegal immigrant has success. Nobody keeps track of how often illegal immigrants do positive things for our country. The idea that everybody is bad that comes over the border makes me so angry, because and this is a complicated topic, and even something that I feel a little bit conflicted about is the human nature. Is it human nature? Is it human nature for immigrants to come across the border and be good people? I think, and what I've thought for a little while now, is that everybody is a good person that were done something wrong and now they seem bad. And I think maybe I talked about this in the last one, but I don't think inherently people are bad. I don't think somebody comes out and is born and they're just a shitty person. I think they weren't raised correctly. Somebody hurt their feelings as a kid. Somebody bullied them, and now they are perceived as a negative person when really that's the reality that they were born into. And they can't choose that. They didn't choose what family they were born into. It takes somebody being like, hey, deep down, you're a good person. You were done wrong, and that sucks. But you can take that negative energy. You can stop shitting on people and take that negative energy and turn it into something positive. And I deal with this today. And just a short note, and then I'll go back to the original idea. I was wearing my powder blue shoes, tight khakis, a sweater, and a collared blue shirt. And then in chemistry class, our teacher said, everybody put your hair up so it doesn't get in the way. I have long-ish hair so that I could have maybe an inch of hair coming out of a ponytail. And I put that up, and some guy came over to me, and he just says, like, oh, you look gay, or like, you look bad. I don't know what he said exactly. And I knew lashing back wouldn't do anything. I knew that in some place in his heart, he was insecure because of something. He was insecure about something, and that's why he had to say, oh, that's what it looks like. Oh, you know what it was? He said, this is funny, actually. I was like, you're just jealous. And I said it as a joke. Obviously, I approached the situation wrong. But you can't say in front of the chemistry class, you can't just be like, bro, the only reason you said that is because you're insecure. I said, haha, you're just jealous of my ponytail. And he was like, no, it just screams femininity. And that's not, he wanted to say it's feminine, but he just said it completely wrong. And so I just said that insult would have been a lot better if you knew how to say that word. If you knew how to say feminine. And then I walked away. And maybe that wasn't the best way to deal with the situation, but I don't think it was negative the way that it could have been. I could have pushed him and been like, why are you so rude, you like bitch, or whatever. I just said like, haha, that would have been funnier if you did this. Here's some advice for next time. You can roast me next time and be able to say it right. And then I walked away. I just let go of it. And so, back to the original thing is the idea that everybody is a good person until they've been doing something wrong. And I say that, and I think I believe that. I think that I believe that, but a part of me is skeptical. A part of me thinks maybe people are inherently bad, and they have to work 10 times harder to be a good person than good people do not to be bad. So, but I just don't think that's true. I don't think a baby that is born out of hateful people, let's say 2 people that hate the fucking world, they're the most negative people on earth, they have a baby. I don't think if you adopt that baby and you give them a positive environment and you enforce them, that they are going to have a negative attitude. They're going to be bad people. That's why I have so much faith that people can be good, because I think people are good. Or if not good, they're a blank slate. And if you don't want them to be shitty to you, be nice to them. You understand what I'm saying? If you're next time you say, oh, I hate that person, or she's so fucking annoying, or whatever, or like she's a bitch, she has a flat ass, okay, whatever insult you're throwing out, whatever you're saying that's negative, think in your head, just say, you know what, maybe I should go over there and just be like, hey, what's up? I know that maybe we don't have the best relationship, but I want to be a positive person, and I don't want to insult you or anything like that. Like, you guys have beef, and she knows that you're talking shit, or he knows that you're talking shit. Just be a positive person. Adding more negative energy to it is not going to fix anything. 2 rights don't make a wrong. If somebody has done you wrong, don't do another wrong. Don't go and do a wrong on somebody else. Take that wrong. See what that wrong really is. See that it's a cry for help. See that it's that person was having a shitty day and they felt upset and they said something that was rude to me. See what it really is, and then take that and turn it into something positive. And you can start breaking down the negative energy that's in your life. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? What I'm saying here is that you will always have control over how you react. And I say this lightly. I don't say this with conviction. I say because a lot of times you don't. Your instincts just kick in. You've been doing the same thing since you grew up, and that was to react poorly. But if you can force yourself to react a certain way, if you can say, I'm going to change my attitude, then that's when good things will start happening. And that's when you'll start seeing a difference. That's when you really tried. That's when you tried. And so I'm gonna transition into a new topic, and here's what I'm trying. Here's what I'm trying right now. I'm trying to have more of a precise and see, this is so ironic, and well thought out language. The way that I talk, I'm trying to improve that. Because here's another idea that I have. I think that you're only as smart as the words that can come out of your mouth. Or people only see you as smart as the words that come out of your mouth. So because don't have a great vocabulary, because I don't have the most smooth and best transitions, or I say and take time to I'm like tripping up while I'm saying this. Is so ironic. I don't have that like beautiful language. I can't prove to people that I'm as intelligent as I am. My world geo teacher, he has 3 master's degrees that he got in 4 years. But because he doesn't he talks like a high schooler, you can't see that he's smart. You can't be like, "Oh wow, that guy's really smart," because he can't talk. He can't let his ideas out. He can't explain things with a good vocabulary so that people perceive him as smart. So that's what I'm trying right now. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do a lot of things, which is probably not a great idea, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But that's what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to have a better language in my conversations, in my daily life, so that I can actually take the knowledge, the intelligence that I have, and let it out into the world, rather than not being able to express it. And that's part of the reason that I'm doing the podcast, is like, if I can talk to myself and explain my ideas in a good way and keep practicing, like I don't know how long I've been sitting here for, but if I can keep talking and keep making good points, keep saying things well, then I will change my voice in the long run. And that's why I think that I can be relatable, is everybody's trying to do something. I'm trying to do something. But you just listened to me talk, and I'm sure that I had a whole bunch of ums. I'm sure that I didn't explain it with great vocabulary. And you can see how relatable it is to struggle through what you're trying. I think if anything else, this podcast, and I got some people that told me that it was relatable, which I appreciated. But I think if anything else, this podcast should be relatable. And if it's not relatable, then it should give you a different perspective. You can say, I don't see my life that way, but now that I know how somebody else sees it, I have a different perception. And then maybe if you have a different perception, you can find things relatable with other people. You can say, "Oh, I don't feel that way, but I know people do. I know that somebody does out there, and I can relate to them because I heard a new perspective." Oh wow, that was so much talking. That was a lot. I don't know how long I've been doing this, but it felt good. It did, guys. It really did. Okay? I mean, I don't know how to tell you other than that. Last night when I recorded the other one, after I did it, I felt so relieved. It was bliss. It was literally like everything that I had been thinking about, it got talked out. And I didn't have to think about it anymore. I could just like release, I could just relax. I didn't have all these pent up thoughts. I didn't have all this stuff going on in my head. And then, as soon as people started giving me feedback, not only was that bliss so good, but that turned into positive energy. And that positive energy wasn't necessarily compliments. A lot of the people that said they listened, said the code word, they enjoyed it. They said they enjoyed it. They thought it was a good idea and I could get better at it. And that was good positive energy. But you know what was great positive energy? Was the people that said, "Hey, do this. Hey, have your ideas written down next time so that your transitions are a little smoother." And that's what I tried to do. I hope it was a little bit better. I had my ideas down on paper, but I didn't organize them. I didn't have them in a certain order of where I wanted to go. And so It was a little bit more difficult to transition through ideas, but I hope it was smoother, and I hope the beginning was a little bit less cringy. Cringy. I know yesterday I might have sounded like nervous or frantic, but it's difficult to talk to yourself alone in a basement for the first time, and I am getting used to it now. So I really hope you guys enjoyed. Give me some feedback, honest feedback. Be honest inside and out what you thought. Tell me if you disagree about something that I thought. And code word today. I like this idea of code words. I think it's like a good way of seeing if people were honest with themselves. You know what I'm saying? Like if they were being honest with me. So code word today is fluffy unicorns. And if you can text me fluffy unicorns, I know that you watched and you were being honest about it. Or excuse me, not watch, you listened. And you're being honest about whatever you had to say. So I'm going to wrap it up the same way. Be honest with each other. Don't be dicks about it, but be honest. Tell them the truth. And let out that positive energy. Turn negative energy into good energy. And just have a good night. Let what you're thinking about what I thought out. Whatever I said today and you thought, oh, that's okay. You could write that down. You could tell me. So have a good night. Thank you for listening.